My name is Leela Carter, and I am 28 years old. I live in Winstonville, Ohio, a small town where everyone seems to know everyone else's business. I work the night shift at a local convenience store, where the hours are long and the customers can be insufferable. However, the hardest part of my job is dealing with a particular coworker named Tommy. He is obnoxious, full of himself, and quite frankly, a pain in my rear end. Tommy prides himself on being the smartest person in the room, constantly throwing out sarcastic remarks and belittling others for sticking to the rules or taking their work seriously. It was exhausting trying to work alongside him. Night after night, he found a way to bring negativity into what was already a difficult job. He would make comments about how I should just lighten up or how I was wasting my potential working at a store, almost like he was above it all. I tried to ignore his snide remarks, but each time he opened his mouth, it felt like a stab to my pride. I started to spend my breaks in my car instead of inside the store, just to avoid him. There were plenty of nights when the tension between us simmered just beneath the surface. It was only a matter of time before I decided that enough was enough. One cold night, I was sitting in my car during my break, and the idea struck me like a lightning bolt. I could make Tommy understand the consequences of being such a smart-aleck. I had my Mountain Dew bottle in the backseat, half full with water, and a mischievous grin spread across my face. I punched a tiny hole in the cap to create a light spray. With cold fingers and a determined heart, I sprayed a thin coating of water across his windshield. It was 15 degrees outside with a light breeze, and as soon as the water hit the glass, it froze almost immediately. I hopped back in my car and waited, heart racing with excitement. When Tommy finally came out of the store, he was visibly perplexed. He looked around the parking lot, confused as to why his car was the only one with frost on the windshield. I could barely contain my laughter as I watched him scowl, looking like a lost puppy trying to figure out what went wrong. The next night, I decided to ramp things up a notch. As soon as I got to work, I prepared for round two. I had noticed that Tommy had brought a large piece of cardboard with him, presumably to cover his windshield. A wicked idea formed in my mind. When he placed the cardboard on the windshield, I snuck outside and carefully pulled it back just enough to spray underneath. Then, I quickly replaced the cardboard like nothing had happened. When he finally came out to check, the cardboard ripped and stuck to the glass, leaving him even angrier than before. His face turned beet red, and I could practically feel the steam rising from his ears. Tommy stormed off, grumbling to himself about bad luck. It was a sweet victory and a reminder that sometimes the smartest one in the room could just be a fool in disguise. I was reveling in the satisfaction of my small victories, but deep down, I knew I had to finish what I started. I planned one final, explosive act of revenge. The last night of my prank war arrived, and I felt a surge of determination. I returned to my hidden spot in the parking lot, armed with my Mountain Dew bottle full of water once again. This time, I decided to hit him where it really hurt. I sprayed his windshield not once, but at least 10 times, layering the ice on thick enough to make it almost 3/4 of an inch thick. It took quite a bit of effort, but the thought of him struggling the next morning fueled my resolve. When he finally came trudging out to his car after his shift ended, I parked my car where I could see him. I waited with bated breath as he approached the side of his car, the frost glistening like a cruel ornament on a Christmas tree. My friend, who worked the day shift, had agreed to watch him. I could hardly contain myself as I saw Tommy standing in front of his car, staring in disbelief. He leaned closer, trying to figure out why he could barely see through the glass. I watched him start the engine in a futile attempt to thaw it out. I felt a wave of joy seeing him sitting there for what felt like an eternity, waiting for his precious car to warm up enough for him to drive home. Finally, my friend texted me that Tommy had been sitting there for 45 minutes, tapping his fingers against the steering wheel in frustration. I could hardly believe it. I imagined him stewing in his car, realizing just how badly he had miscalculated by relentlessly pestering a fellow worker. It was poetic justice, and all my hard work had finally paid off. After a full shift and all those playful pranks, my heart brimmed with satisfaction. I had put an end to his smart remarks, at least for the moment. When the next shift arrived, I was surprised to find Tommy quieter than before. It was as if my little revenge escapade had knocked the wind out of his sails. Perhaps he thought twice about tossing out another sarcastic comment or treating others like they were beneath him. In the days that followed, I witnessed an odd change in him. He became less of a smart-aleck and more of a coworker. It was unsettling and strange, but felt like a victory nonetheless. I had served some cold, hard revenge, but a small part of me wondered if I had gone too far. Maybe there was a better way to handle things than through petty mischief. However, I did feel a sense of fulfillment, knowing I had taken a stand against someone who thought they could walk all over me. Though I would never admit it, I felt a sense of pride in my cleverness. Sometimes, even in the smallest ways, standing up for myself made me feel empowered. As time went on, my relationship with Tommy improved a little, but the pranks and delicious revenge would always be a fond memory. Each shift brought a new atmosphere, and I couldn't help but feel like I had changed him somehow. The true lesson was that while revenge might feel good in the moment, understanding had the power to create a real shift. Tommy, stubborn as he was, learned that his arrogance had costs after all. And if I ever shared this story with anyone, I would always add a touch of laughter, my own little reminder that sometimes, a little fun goes a long way even in the world of negativity. As for me, each time I heard him laugh or engage positively with others, I felt a warm reminder of my choices and how they could shape our little community in Winstonville, a small town where smart Alex could get a dose of humility when they least expected it.